Welcome back, Propane Pete with you again, and today is the big day. I'm picking up the little Charade. And as I said last week, I expected it to rain, and boy, is it ever. Last week I was looking for a four-wheel drive with a tow bar to tow the rental trailer, and it just so happens our friends with the Charade also have a 1997 Land Cruiser, which they've kindly lent me. So here we are back at the property, getting the Charade onto the trailer in pouring rain. Well, g'day again. I'm back on the road, different car this time. This is our friend's 80 series Land Cruiser, 1997 Land Cruiser. 371,400 kilometres. I gave it a big service the other day just to make it good for this little trip. On the back of the Land Cruiser there's a rented car trailer, and I've got the little Charade on it. It's been quite a day. It's been raining up in the hills, fog. All the creeks were overflowing. One of the bridges was out. Sides of the roads had collapsed in some places, and their property is really difficult. There's a creek, there's two big ditches, 1.5 metres deep. And uphill and on an angle, and just as well I've got this because I could engage the front hubs and drop it into low range first gear and get this little Charade out of there. Yeah, it's been a successful day. Be glad to get home, get this tiny car into its tiny workshop. And that little car is a gem. I'm really taking to it. It's looking at me in the mirror here. Where am I going? Where are you taking me? But am I going to get registered again? Yes, you are. But anyway, we've got more hills to go, so I'll sign off and we'll get this car into the workshop. While we're heading to the workshop, we'll just have a quick look at what this little Charade has been up to over the years. Our friend's son bought the car from an elderly couple on a neighbouring property in 2007, and sometime later he moved away from the family home for work purposes. In February 2013 he took this tiny car on a road trip, a big one, a really big one. He crossed the country, chalking up about 7,000 kilometres or 4,200 miles in the old currency. Apart from hitting a kangaroo and damaging the radiator in the Northern Territory, driving through flooded roads from the aftermath of a cyclone on the Western Australia west coast, and getting a partially blocked fuel filter, all went well. A job in Perth came up, so he stayed there until 2015, until another new job opportunity came up in Darwin. The Charade, however, remained in Perth in storage and was eventually put on a truck and transported 5,500 kilometres all the way back to the family home in 2016, where it was just used for general running around until The registration was accidentally forgotten about and expired a few years ago. And that's where this story restarts with this project. The recovery today from the family property to my tiny workshop to restore this little car back to tip-top condition and get it back on the road again. Well, it has not stopped raining. See that jacket I'm wearing? I bought it in a little village called Vik in Iceland a few years ago, thinking it was waterproof. It turned out to be an effective windbreak, and it is water resistant, but it's certainly not waterproof, as I have discovered today. I predicted a week ago in my previous video that I would get soaked retrieving this little Charade, and that's exactly what's happened. I am soaked. Well, the tiny car is finally in the tiny workshop, and it's just as well it is a tiny car, because if this was a 1956 Chevrolet or a 1952 Humber Super Snipe, I'd be in real trouble here, because just the bonnets on those cars are about the length of this workshop, and I know this for a fact because when I started my motor mechanic apprenticeship in 1965, yes, 65. I worked on that entire era of 1950s cars and quite a few 1940s cars too, and a couple of 1930s cars. But anyway, enough of an old grey-haired man reminiscing. Let's get this little car up on stands and check it all out and see what I have to do to get it back on the road. Oh, just before I start, did you notice how much trouble I had getting this little car into the workshop the other day? It would hardly move, and the steering was really heavy. So that's going to be the first priority. See what that is. I think it's going to have something to do with that dodgy right-hand front brake caliper that we saw up on the property. So that's going to be the first thing I need to sort out. Just before I jack it up and put it on stands, have a look underneath the car. There's absolutely no rust whatsoever. This is a huge bonus. Okay, I took the right hand front wheel off, and apart from surface rust on the rotor and sliders that need freeing up from lack of use, everything looked fine here. There was plenty of meat left on the pads too. They were actually almost like new. So this is good. Okay, the right hand front brakes seemed okay, so I've taken the left hand front wheel off, and let's have a look at this one. Oh, geez. Oh yeah. Oh, that is all bound up. Yeah. That's why it was so hard to drive the car. So that'll be the sliders are stuck. Looks like there's plenty of meat left on the pad, so that's good. So all I'll need to do is just dismantle these front brakes and just clean everything up and put everything back, and it'll all work fine. Get rid of this all the surface rust. It's very good. So I'm very happy with this. Check this out. There was no split pin in the front hub, and the hub nut it's just finger tight, and look at this, just straight off. Just as well, there was a reason to take all this apart, so I wouldn't have noticed this. This could have ended up in a really nasty situation. Anyway, we'll press on. Front brakes are going to be fine, so let's have a look at the rear brakes now. Just before we check out the rear brakes, have a look at this, the left-hand front CV boot. Well and truly out of warranty. So that's obviously going to be one of the jobs I have to do. Well, we've had some good luck with the front disc brakes, so let's see how the rear drum brakes are. These little cars are just so simple mechanically. Look at that, a split pin, a nut, and off it comes. The inner wheel bearing seems fine. Yep, that's no problems at all. So let's turn it over and check the outer. Yep, that feels really good too. No problems. Well, this is all looking very good. There's no brake fluid leaking from the wheel cylinders. Everything's dry. I gave it a clean up with some brake fluid. And there's plenty of meat left on the shoes. Look at that, bonded shoes. So I would say this had a brake job not long before the registration expired. This is really good. Very pleased. Same story here. This is the driver's side. Wheel cylinder cups nice and dry. Plenty of meat left on the shoes. Everything. I just cleaned this off again with brake fluid so you can see properly. Had a bit of trouble getting the drum off. I think this handbrake cable might be a little bit stuck. I've freed it up here, but I might have to pull the handbrake cable out and free it up. Anyway, it's looking good. Okay, moving on. It's time to remove this burnt out muffler. Bit of WD-40, loosen things up. The nuts came off very easily. And there it is. The local exhaust shop is going to make up a whole new unit for me. An interesting arrangement with the top and bottom radiator hoses. This little car hit a kangaroo south of Catherine and damaged the radiator. It was trucked up to Darwin and they fitted a new radiator, but the outlet pipe was a different size. So they fitted these adapters to make it all match up. Anyway, that was a good job, and off he went on his way again, no problem. I'll have to do something about this. These are the heater hoses. A clamp missing and a bit of corrosion, so I'll attend to that. I checked all the suspension bushes, the turret ends, the ball joints, everything on the car, and they're all in perfect condition, just like this one. No movement at all. It's quite remarkable, really, for a 30-year-old car that's done just on 200,000 kilometres. Pretty pleased, actually. I was doing quite well for time. It was only 10 o'clock, so I thought I'll fix a couple of little things out the back here. There was a blown globe in the left there, a stop and tail. So I thought, oh well, I'll just do the same on the right, and because there was a problem there. But boy, that escalated quite quickly. There was all sorts of problems with earthing, really strange things going. So out with the multimeter, fixing up wiring, and then the both the tail light lenses all collapsed in my hands. They just dissolved. So I fitted this Nava general purpose tail light, and it worked well. But yeah, this whole thing took about 2.5 hours. God, look at that. That's new. And it's a Ryko. Gosh. This car's been serviced just before, there's nothing in here. This car's been serviced just before the registration ran out. It's got a new oil filter on it. That's a Ryko. That's going back in. I'll just write down the number on it. A 12-year-old timing belt, so it's obvious that I'll be replacing that. Pretty important. These tyres are 16 years old and hard as cement. So they're 13-inch wheels. I've ordered a new set of tyres from Bob Jane. 13-inch wheels are fairly rare these days. Well, it's been a productive first morning in my tiny workshop, and it's time for a nice cup of tea. I mentioned in my previous videos that I originally thought I'd be doing a pretty well full-on restoration on this car. But as you've seen, yes, there is work to do, but it's not a restoration in the classical sense. I'm not going to have to drill out spot welds and cut out rusted panels, shape and weld sheet metal and weld them back in and get it all lined up. And I'm hopeless at that sort of work anyway, so I'm really pleased that it's just mechanical work only that I have to do. The body is going to come up just fine, colour correction. The bonnet will need respraying. But the bodywork's going to come up really nice. The interior is great. I just need to get an upholsterer to repair the driver's seat. And this car will come up looking really nice. I've been hunting up parts, and it's been a little bit tricky because Daihatsu ceased operations in Australia in 2006. But I have managed to get just about everything I need. And in fact, I managed to get a timing belt yesterday. This came up yesterday, so and there's a Gates belt too, which I'm pretty happy about. There's still a couple of more outstanding items, but I'll be able to get those. That's okay. I know where to get those, and I've managed to get a quite a discount too on some of these parts, 30% in some cases. So I'll go and hunt up these parts. So I'll sign off today and chase those up. So again, if you're the sort of person that likes to see old cars get a second life, then follow me through. So we'll see you perhaps in the next video.